Thank you for staying with us here on the program. 5 days seem like 100 years in the eyes of so many Nigerians who were waiting on the APC to announce its vice presidential candidate. A few names came up and a committee was set up to look at who is best for the party out of these men. Some of the names that came up, the hopefuls at that time, leader of the party and the former governor of Lagos State, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, governors of Rivers and Edo State, Rotimi Amechi and Adams Oshiomhole, former governor of Ekiti State, Kayode Fayemi's name also was on the lot, and of course, Professor of Law Yemi Osinbajo. Well, at last, Professor Yemi Osinbajo emerges as General Buhari's running mate. And this is exactly what General Buhari said when he announced the vice presidential candidate.
To assist me in this great task of securing Nigeria's future, I have chosen a man of impeachable integrity, an excellent professional, a man of faith, a devoted family man, and a role model to our fellow countrymen and women. He is Professor of Law and a senior advocate of Nigeria, an alumnus of the University of Lagos and the London School of Economics. He is a prodigious author who has to his credit several books on civil procedure in Nigerian superior courts. The vice presidential candidate is a friend of the less privileged, compassionate, and zealous in service, a man of uncommon humility, a loyal, dependable, and selfless patriot. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who by the grace of God and the vote of Nigerians will be the next Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Well, where is this Yemi Osinbajo? He's a 15-year-old and a professor of law then at the University of Lagos and a senior partner at Simpsons Cooper, a law firm. He was an attorney general and commissioner for justice in Lagos in Bola Tinubu's cabinet. He also served as special advisor to the Attorney General of the Federation, the Minister of Justice, when Bola Ajibola was there from 1988 to 1992. Now, I'm now being joined by a chieftain of the APC and the former governor of Bayelsa State, Mr. Timipre Sylva. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
It took your party almost a week to announce a vice presidential candidate. Why?
Well, I don't know what people are really after. When did they expect us to come up with a vice presidential candidate? I mean, we had a time frame. We had to submit the presidential candidate and his vice presidential candidate on a certain date. And we submitted on the date that was published by INEC, according to law. So what is wrong with that? We didn't really overshoot any time frame. The only thing, it was just strategic. We needed to keep the name. We didn't want to put it out there until the time was right. And we judged that that was the right time to announce the name. And then you heard all kinds of speculation. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, a lot of people will see it as a sign of organization when you've had it thought out, and each of the aspirants will have had the mindset of who he's going to run with. Or for your party to take several days, that's about a week. It shows perhaps your party was not really
to announce
ready for the game.
To announce the name. That doesn't mean that the party had not gotten to the conclusions yet. We already had the name, but we didn't have to announce it at the time.
You had the names and just wanted to pick from? Or
it's in the public domain. Yes, there were a lot of names, but I'm telling you that already the party was decided
on Professor Osinbajo.
Exactly. But we didn't have to announce it until it was okay for us. It was strategic enough for us to announce it. So it doesn't matter at all. I mean, because it was still within time. If it was out of time, then we have an issue. But it was within time, so I don't know what problem there is there.
Yeah, it was within time, a few hours before the deadline.
Exactly.
But again, people will
That's
think
exactly how we wanted it to be.
you just want to keep the tension up, isn't it?
It's part of it, yeah.
Interesting. Well, one will ask, is Osinbajo the best out of the lot?
Yes, he's the best. Well, of course, in APC, we have an array of qualified vice presidential candidates. But at the time and in the circumstance, Osinbajo is the best. Because first, we wanted to have a Christian vice president and a vice president from the Southwest. Our governors, we had, most of the governors that were there, that are there in the Southwest were Muslim governors. And we had to think outside the box. And we come up with Professor Yemi, a very, very qualified lawyer, a legal luminary, somebody of unimpeachable character. Of course, you will agree with me. Somebody, a man of faith, as the presidential candidate of the APC himself said. So I don't, unless you have anything wrong with the person of Osinbajo, he's a very qualified person, and we thought that was the best thing for Nigeria now.
Interesting. Yeah. Some people, there were stories of your party approaching the party, one of your leaders, Bola Tinubu, giving him the right of first refusal on who the vice presidential candidate is. Is that true?
Bola Tinubu is a leader of the party. He is part of the decision-making process in the APC. And if he was consulted, it was not outside what we should do. Bola Tinubu is a leader, and of course he was adequately consulted, and the name was arrived at.
A lot of your members will talk about the presidential primary, which of course I was there. I covered that event, and a lot of people, a lot of your members, I've heard them say that it was an exemplary event for the nation, for democracy in Nigeria. Do you think that presidential primary has all the integrity that a presidential primary should have?
I'm happy you said you were there. I think there could have been no better primaries than what we had. It was very well organized. People went there, queued up to vote all night, and you saw the result. So it was definitely the best presidential primary that Nigerians have witnessed. I've heard it from everybody around. And of course, this shows you the difference between the APC and the PDP. So the PDP has never been able to hold an exemplary presidential primary like this, not even in the past.
What makes the APC primary different from what we have seen of the PDP in the past, or any presidential primary of that matter?
Well, the delegates, in the PDP, delegates are picked, kind of. In the APC, delegates are elected. And these delegates came and then chose their presidential candidate by themselves. This has not happened, and you know it. And it was the order, the transparency. We have not seen that before in any PDP primaries or in any primaries of any political party in Nigeria.
Because we heard of stories of monies that were given to delegates that influenced some of the result that we saw on that day.
Well,
you hear of any such?
No, if money was to influence the outcome, then you know that General Buhari would not have been the one to emerge. There were a lot of money bags. In fact, there were people who wanted the delegate primary. There were others who wanted an all-out primary, all members of the APC. Those who wanted the delegate primaries wanted the delegates because they thought they could influence them with money. But I think the APC primaries have proven beyond reasonable doubt that money is not a factor in Nigerian politics. People may have paid out money, but the outcome shows that the money did not influence the outcome. The outcome was completely different, and I think a lot of people must have been disappointed. Those who tried to influence delegates must have been disappointed with the outcome, because the person that won was the one with the least amount of money.
Interesting. Let's go to the race started sort of, and what we are seeing now, a lot of things have determined this particular outcome of the candidates that we've seen so far: ethnicity and religion. You are from the Niger Delta region, and of course we know that the PDP presidential candidate is from your region. There are some people who are saying that it's just right for someone from your region to continue as a president. Do you believe so?
Well, ethnicity really doesn't influence the reason for my support. But you know, in a diverse country like Nigeria, you cannot say that the president should only come from one part. Now, today, Nigeria's problem, the biggest problem Nigeria has, is Boko Haram. At the other time, before President Jonathan emerged, it was militancy in the Niger Delta. And a lot of Nigerians felt that somebody from that area should emerge who understood the issues around the Niger Delta militancy. And President Jonathan emerged. Today, I believe that the issues are around Boko Haram. And it will be better for somebody who understands those issues to become president of this country so that we can at least deal with those issues more effectively.
And you think that